Hi all, it's Kylie from Kylie's Card Craft. Thanks for joining me again today. Yeah, I know, been slack, been a bit missing in action. Just life, you know, as it does. All right, wanted to show you this. This started from a manila folder. Love my manila folders. So what we've got is a pocket. If I can find something to tuck in there. Hang on a moment. Oh, I've got stuff everywhere. Here we go. All right, so we've got a pocket in here, all right, which undoes, flicks up. We'll see how we go as we go through. Turning it over, we've got a belly band, we've got a pocket, and then we've got another pocket. Now, this can either be done so that it sits in a pocket, or for me, what I would normally do would be to sew it into my signatures so that it's pages in a signature. Unfortunately, I haven't got a journal half done here at the moment, sitting here, because I've had to wipe the desk clear to do a hope of other stuff at the moment. So, but you get the gist. So you've seen me do it before. We'll put them in as a signature. They'll get sewn through with all your other pages, and then you've got pages done in your journal. Now, this whole thing, as I said before, came from a manila folder. You will get 2 of them from one manila folder and still have a few bits and pieces left over. Let me show you. Right, manila folder. Good old plain manila folder, folded up, still with its fold down here, as is. Now, all manila folders are different sizes, so you work on what suits you. My general size that I tend to do these so that they fit in my journals, so that they will either go as a signature or still be small enough to tuck into a pocket, or usually on the inside cover of the actual journal. You know, when you turn over your first page or your cover, and on the inside, and I've quite often got a pocket, tuck it in there. So this is our manila folder, and all we're going to do to create this size is we're going to measure up 4.5 inches. This is scrap, so I'll write it down here. Okay, so we will measure, let's say that this is our manila folder, okay? This line here is the fold. Make sense? So we're going to measure up 4.5 inches. So if I just write this there, 4.5, and we're going to cut all the way along there. All right, so that the fold is still there. So what you've then got is a long piece that's still folded. Measure down, as I said, my size, this is the size I wanted. You might want yours longer. I've then measured down 6 inches, these are all in inches, and cut down there. Hence that one, okay? So I've now got a piece that is folded, that is 4.5 by 6. I've measured down again. This is not to scale. Don't know if you worked that out or not. Another 6 inches, and then you've got a piece left over. Now, depending on the size of your manila folders, sometimes I'll have this much left over, sometimes like this one, I've got that much left over. In which case, what I'll usually do with these is make little paperclip bookmark things. So don't ever chuck them away. All right, so that's our piece off here. Now with our remaining piece, we're going to measure and cut off at 1 3/4 inches, which is that piece. Okay, so you will then do that again. Oh, it's so straight, that line. 1 3/4 inches, which will be this piece I've drawn on, for your second one. You will get all that out of that. You will have that left over, which makes perfect journaling card sizes. So, you know, whether you cut them down from tags with this one, as I said before, they're all slightly different sizes. So what you've got left with mine is 5 inches. So when I'm doing tags, I quite like them about 2.5 inches by 5. So for me, this manila folder works a treat for them cutting down to make tags. But for today's exercise, that is surplus to requirements. We're going to tuck it aside. So that, if you can now follow my measurements, is what we've got. So we're not going to use this piece, and we're not going to use this piece. All right. So this was our folded line. We've measured up 4.5 inches, cut all the way across, measured down 6 and cut it, measured down 6 and cut it. And then we want 1 3/4 inches and 1 3/4 inches from the top pieces. That will give you 2 of these little folders, okay? And I know that's just awesome, and I should have drawn it up properly before, but I'm sure you can get that. Right, we'll sit that one over there as well. We'll look for the lid. Now, I'm only doing 1, so I don't need that piece or that piece for this one. So now we've got a little folder. Simple as that. What I like to do with these is to cut an inverted tag in them. You know, when you've got normal office supplies and you've got your tag in them like that, I like to do an inverted tag. That's just me. For my inverted tag, I actually have a tag die so that it cuts along the edge and gives you a tag, but it's just a very basic one. It is a Sizzix die, 133729 is the number for it. It came as a pair, so there's that one and then there's another one with it along the other side. I like to use that to give me my inverted tab. If you don't have a die, look at it. It is so easy to draw. All right? It's not rocket science to draw that. It's just that I'm lazy. So when I'm cutting through, I will cut through both pieces at once. That way I've got them even. If you're drawing it, do the same thing. Draw it and cut it with the 2 pieces at once. So this, now this one should fit so that he is exactly 2, 1, 2, 1. Yep. So here is my edge of my die. If I bring that up, this is the little cutting edge. I just want this. So I'm just going to sit this right against that cutting edge, and I'm going to tape it in place with some old washi tape. I've always got some old Christmas washi tape here. Turning it that way because I'm a righty, and that way I can sit it there. So right up against that edge, and I'm just going to tape it in place so it doesn't move. I'm still going to put it on my die cutting machine, which has a magnetic mat on it, but I'm going to put it that way, and I wouldn't be able to see whereabouts I was putting it. So I just sit that there. Now my mats are, you know, one's good, one is about to go. Okay, so what it'll do, because this one is so cut, and I'm putting 2 thicknesses in this, it's going to really squash it, and it'll leave a lot of that cutting marks there. So I'll show you once I've cut this. So I've put it so that the cutting edge is going down my top plate. I'll roll it through. You'll hear it go through, and I'm not going to pull it back the other way because, as I said, my plates, if I lift this up, see how it gets all the indentations on this side from whatever you've got cut on here. If I've been lazy and cut, say, a doily die out and there's little bits of cardstock or paper sitting on there where they've come off, they will show really well, the indentations. It's like embossing nearly. So clean your plate before you do it if you're going to do it with a die, but you will get through both sheets even with a little thin die. Another reason why manila folders are so good. Sitting that back over there. Right, so now what we've got is my inverted die with my manila folder. So I'm just going to pick that bit off, like so. Now you can choose either way for your front or your back. It's up to you, makes no difference. You'll notice that with the manila folders, they tend to have those other scored lines. But when you put them through, where's the other one? When you put them through a die cutting machine, it really flattens them out. See the difference? You can hardly see them at all in there. I'm assuming the camera will pick that up. So that's why I don't worry about them too much. Now, when you're inking, if you're inking, actually what I want to do with that is I want to round that corner. No, we'll do this one differently. I rounded this corner to keep them in those curves. Let's do this one straight. If I set that one there, you can see that one. Let's just keep this one straight. So I'm just roughly going around it, not really thinking about what I'm doing or anything else. Now, all of my edges will need inking. You can see I'm not taking any care. I'm just literally bashing at it just to give it an edge so that it highlights it out with whatever paper I'm putting on it. Now, my original one that I've got here, I actually went back, I don't know if you can remember, month and a half, 2 months, I don't know. This year has just gone so quickly. Month and a half, 2 months ago, I did an unboxing from Your Creative Studio. It was another one that Amanda had sent me, which was a beautiful one. Well, talking to her later on, I found out it was the June subscription box that she had sent me. So if there's any of those ones left, I probably should have looked before I started. The papers from that unboxing, go back in, have a look at that unboxing video I did, and you'll see the papers on it. But that's what I used for that one, because they all matched, they all went, and so it's literally just some. I've used those papers quite a bit, and I still have all of that left. So I've used, that piece was one of the vellums, I've used the smaller ones that were in there and just put a finger hole in them, you know. So that was from Your Creative Studio. Tonight, this one, what I want to do is, make sure that's round, is just use a selection of old Kaisercraft ones. I'll put a link to the Your Creative Studio website at the bottom in the descriptions. The Kaisercraft, sorry, these are a really, really old paper. I've got so much old scrapbooking paper left that I thought, that's it. We're going to start using some of it. Right, so we've got our bases now, as you can see. Now this one, our 1 3/4, 1 3/4, did I say? Yep, 1 3/4 will be our belly band and our front tucks. So we're going to undo our ribbon, take our ribbon off, and these are our front tucks. Okay? So that, as I said before, you can pop something else in there. They can be open to something else that flaps down as well if you want, and then you've got your belly band on the other side. Okay? So with this one, what I do when I'm making these, I'll sit it in. You know me, I'll find my grid lines just so that I can keep myself straight. And I'll sit this guy in, again, doesn't matter where at the moment, but just so that I can sit it straight on there as well, so it's all lined up. It's on a straight line. This is on a straight line. This is on the rest of the straight line. I will sit my ruler here, and I'll just give it a bend. Okay, same with over this one, going over there, set my ruler there, and give it a little bit of a bend up. Now I can take it out, and what I can actually do is sit these, oh, sorry, I'm a righty, I know, I'm turning it round each time. I'll sit this back on so that it's nicely lined up, hoping so that I don't stick my head in the camera. I'm going to fold it up so that it all matches, or as good as it's going to match, and just give it a crease. Okay, do the same on the other side. If you're a lefty, you'll be going from the other side so that it gives it nicely lined up. And technically, if we've done that correct, let's have a look. It should slide in without buckling. Needs to be straight. Yep, look at that. Look at that. Don't you love it when a plan comes together? Right, so now we need to work out where we want these to finish. So that's why I use the full strip, because then I can sit there and work out where I want them to go. So with this one, I've given it a rather large opening in the front. I could have these going almost together if I want. So, all right, let's do that this time. So we've got one that goes that way. Let's have these ones so that they almost match. In which case, we know that this is 6 inches. We want to mark this at the 3-inch point. So our top one, and then we'll do the same to our bottom one. Right, we can't have them going past that line, can we? Okay. I don't want them to actually butt up. I want a little bit of a gap. So if I sit that, let's find a mat to sit that on. So if I sit this on a mat, line up my pencil line. So there's my pencil line. You'll see that it runs down that line that I've got there. So I'm going to take it, I don't know, what's that, 1/2 centimetre, which will give us a centimetre gap, which gives us room for a bow. So if I take that onto that next line, so there's one, that makes a perfect little label. Do the same on this side. Line that up so that this line is against that line. So you can see my pencil line's lined up with that. Go back. As I said, this is hard. This is the problem. This one is in inches. This one is in centimetres. So, and I tend to work between the two. Most times I work in inches. It's whatever fits. Whatever measurement is easiest for you if you're measuring. Otherwise, just find a line, cut to the next one. Don't stress about it. So now I've got a gap of about that. I'm happy with that. That gives me just enough room for a bow. But I want these to go into a tag shape. So I'll get out my trusty little card. But I don't want too big a one, so I'm going to sit that. I can't do the cut it off, turn it over with a little tab because my fingers just won't work. So I still tend to work with this, and I've put it up a little bit. So we'll go over to this side now and we'll line that up so that it's round about the same. If it's not the same, I'm not overly concerned, and that's why I ink, because the inking will take your eye away from wonky bits that are not quite lined up, things like that. And that's why I always ink. Right, so now I've got my two little like tag ends that will go onto here. This one will go there, that'll go there. My tag ends will go there. If I'm straight. That way. How's that? Like so. Happy with that. Right, so let's start decorating. That, in essence, is the basis of this little folder. To decorate, as I said, I've just pulled out some other papers that were an old Kaisercraft range. So we're just going to stick and glue. Set that one to the side, move those ones over, and get out the trusty glue stick. Forgot to look what time it was when I started, so we'll double check that in a second. I'll get this glued on and then I'll just double check. I think I've got most things slightly pre-cut to take away some extra time. Line up that bit with that bit, just so that I've got an even gap around. Okay, I knew my measurements to start with. Yes, this is fairly close, but that's fine. I've got you over here. I'll just give you a squeeze down. See, and that's covered those fold lines, the score lines that are already in your manila folder anyway. And you can't see them anymore. Now, I've got, as I said, I cut out a few bits and bobs before. I've got this. Now, I know it's going to be too big. I cut it out of, cut it out of the full sheet just prior. And I know it's going to be too big, but remember I've got a tag here that's going to cover up most of that anyway. So I'm thinking if I just line all this up, then I can work out where I want that one to go, which is about there. Okay, we'll just chop that bit off, because it's not really going to matter. So I know that bit's straight down the bottom. So if I get a fairly straight edge up here, which was about there, just over that line. Right, put that in the bin. So technically, that should now fit with the same sort of gap all the way around it. Yep, lovely. I'm just going to stick that on. So this one's got a double one, just so that I could give myself a focal point with these. So back to my trusty glue stick. All right. There's Bertha going. Must be, it's 9:30 at night. So I started after the 9 o'clock tings, didn't I? Because we haven't heard those go off. So somewhere between 9 and 9:30 we started. All right. Again, giving ourselves an even gap around. Give that a push. Give it a good squish down. We know because it's a glue stick, it's not going to squeeze out or anything else. That's my front. I technically think that was my front to start with, but that's my front now. We've folded it round the other way. I still want something going on in this one. So these are going to sit in here like so. I'm thinking when they're open, I'd like a portrait or something in there, something circular. Technically, I want this one for my ladies' journal, which is what I'm working on at the moment, but I don't know where it is. I've got to go back to it now. So let's have a look. Photos. Do I have photos in these? Let's see if we've got a portrait in an oval in one of these. I'd like an oval, and I don't really want to cut one because I'm lazy. So let's have a look. Mind you, so I'd like them larger than that anyway. One of these darkroom door ones would be lovely. So now they're larger. If I cut them in an oval, am I going to... Ooh. See, that's the size of oval I want. But I can't have him because it's a ladies' journal. And they're a bit scary. Let's have a look. Bear with me. That's my chair. Right, so I've got a die here that'll be an oval, but I'm not going to cut it out with the oval. What I'm going to do is I will use it as a template. So, there we go. Right. We'll use that as a template and work out what we want. How's that? Doesn't matter how prepared I am. I always get sidetracked by thinking something else up. Could nearly go bigger than that one, couldn't it? So maybe I need a large photo. I need to set you straight first. It's going to go along there. That's even. So that's not big enough. So let's go the size up, which is that one. That's a better size, isn't it? And that fits in there nicely. So I need a photo that's going to go that size. And that's what I mean. Quite often I will have these dies, but I don't necessarily use them in my die cutting machine. I will use them. They will fit. Look at that. If I'm smart, I will get those ones in. So any of these ones, they won't, but these two will. Right, so yes, I could die cut it. But if you don't have a die cutting machine, it's pointless showing you all the time what to do with the die cutting machine. So if, let's say you've just got an oval jar or an oval plate, use that sort of thing. You can still get stencils or templates that are ovals that are not necessarily done for the die cutting machines. So we've used the die cutting machine, now we're using our hands. And we're going to cut this guy out by hand. Right, so I can see that. Now these are darkroom door photo chips, I think she calls them. So I'm just going to follow that pencil line round. I have my scissors up again. You'll notice I'm using my large scissors for something like this. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to look like it was cut out with a die cutting machine. Okay? But that's fine. I'm going to ink around the edges. I might even grunge up my edges. And you won't even notice. So get rid of that little wonky bit. There you go. No, it's not perfect, but really, who cares? Okay, so that'll fit in there. That'll fit in there. You'll only see that little bit. Well, you won't even really see that because your bow will cover that up. So I'm just going to go around. This time I'm using a darker one. It's just whatever's on my foam still, so it's gathered twigs I'm using here. But because these are the matte or the slightly glossy photo chips, your distress inks will not dry as quickly. So I will do them and then give them a buff, and you'll get that tinted look, more of a photo, an old photo, okay? You'll need something permanent if you just want to give it that edge. But your distress inks, your distress oxides will give this lovely sepia look in the browns. Right, So you're just going to go there. And because this is a heavier weight card, I'm going to use my liquid glue. I'm just going to pop these ones back away. With the other photos, I knew I had that sitting there somewhere. Sorry, did I just knock you guys? Right, put those ones back in there. And those ones. And those ones. And old mate here. And then I can pop them back down there. Right, so I'm going to use my liquid glue this time. I'm just going to go around. Give myself, you know, one of those ice spins. Right. You can go as big or as little in your decorating as you like. It usually helps if they're up the right way. So somewhere in the centre of that. So now I've actually turned that into a frame. Where's my cloth? I had it. There it is. Right. Because this one's liquid glue, you just got to watch that it doesn't squeeze out. Move my big scissors. Right. So now we can start working on this. This is going to sit here like that. I still want to just give this an edge. I will need to do the outside of all of it, including my folds, both sides. And then I will need to do just the inside of the tag parts if we want them to come open. So this side of the tag parts. And I'll just do in there, just so that you can see it, because you won't see the rest, because that's the inside of the belly band on the other side. Right. So now it's up to decorating this. Okay. And it's so easy. Right. But in amongst this sheet, that was there. So that will technically work. I reckon. It'll be thin. I could use that. What could I use in here that's none of them really? That one and that one. Use that. Well, we just might as well give in and use that on the inside of our belly band. So, I'll get this out again, and a ruler and a knife. That'll help, won't it? So what if I take it a little bit over, and I don't cut, but I tear it, just to give it a little bit more edge and a little bit of overlap. Okay, I'm going to need to go that way. I'm going to need to go that way so that I can see where I'm going. So a little bit and a little bit, that gives it a little bit more width. I'm not using my tearing ruler, I'm just using my standard metal ruler. And the outside of that will work well. If I go there, I'll get one of those, won't I? Yes. Yes. Yep, I heard you. Thank you. So I'm going to use my trimmer. It'll make it so much easier. Because then when I'm using my trimmer, I don't think, I just do. It's about there. Which means I want to go about the same size with that bit over there. Right. See, I don't think, I just do when I'm using my trimmer. If I'm using my blade and my knife, yep, just like that. I stop and I think and I make sure it's straight, and yeah, so just do. Don't think, just do. The more we think, the more we hesitate, the more we second guess ourselves. All right, that one can go on. Now, it's whether we want the same thing on the other side of our belly band or whether we want something completely different. There's no real right or wrong way. Up or down, that's about even. Even top, even sides. That's about all you've really got to worry about. Right. So that's the inside of our belly band that's going to be going in there. Still haven't worked out because I've been fiddling around what I want on those ones. All right. Let's have a look. See, when in doubt, go on to something else and come back to it. I've got the, I want that, actually. Oh, that'll work really well. Right, make sure we're up the right way. Which way around do I want this postcard? Again, this was off this sheet, so I want that about there. I want it about there. And I want it about there. Okay, I like the abouts. Sit you in there. Down that. And down that one. Right. So technically, that will fit. What I'm going to do is I'll ink that bit, especially the bits that we've just cut now that are, you know, sharp-edged, I suppose would be the best word for it. And what I want to do is give it just... I'm just going to scratch that with my nail. Just to make him look a little bit worn. Now you can use your scissors, you can use an edge distresser, you can use all sorts of things, but let's face it, most of us have got nails. So we're just getting rid of some of, not everywhere, just in some places, and we're just going to get rid of some of that lovely straight edge that we've just used with our trimmer. So now you look, see how it's aged it back up again, and it could have been the full-size postcard. So back on with our glue stick, make sure that that's dry. I am rushing, because I think I'm going to have to stop and look. Hang on. Oh, 40 minutes. Right. I want to show you how to do this belly band. So, lost the bin. There it is. I need to very quickly do the other side of this belly band, and then we can show you how to do. So we're just going to decorate these. So match him with that. Let's have a look and see what we've got in some of these papers. This is from the rest of this range. Don't think I want them that dark. I do have off that. That would work. Just the pinky bits. That one's a bit too big. It's lovely going that way, but I don't want them going that way. So, what else do we have in this? Nope. Definitely not with the pink roses. Alright. Thinking I'm going back to that. I'm definitely going back to that. So, going to trim that bit off. And then, so we want a piece that's going to be about 1.5, because we made this 1 3/4, remember? So if I cut a piece that's 1.5, it'll give me a strip between it. 1.5, bit over 1.5. Let's just try that first. We can always take a little bit more off. Even that bit up. Right. Let's have a look at what we've got there. Yep, that's a really good width. You've got to remember you won't see it with that. It'll be with that bit. So, to make this the right size, again, just use your pencil. Sit it at the top of this, okay? Go down to your fold line and make a mark up from your fold line. Make a mark down from that tab, in from that one, and that one. We're going to cut along here. Like that. And we're going to find our scissors in here. And we're just going to join the dots. 1 and 2. And that way. And what that should give us is a matchy-matchy. Hopefully, yes, for that. Okay. So that's one that we can decorate up later on. We might not have time to do it on camera, but you get the gist that way, don't you? So, glue you before we forget about it. Before we go way too far over time. Ooh, got to get rid of that bit. Hang on. It's very hot and muggy and humid at the moment, and it affects the glue. All right. Give him a push. Okay. There's one. And the other one will be done just the same. But I don't want... Oh, maybe if we go down that way, it's a bit more pink. We leave all that bit in. Take off that bit. Will I have space? Yes, I will. Right. If we take off that other line so that it doesn't have a line anywhere, but it still has that little bit of flourish. Find the pencil. Sit it down this way this time so that I've got that flourish lined up. Where am I going? Not very far down. I reckon it's about that. Just that I don't want to lose that flourish, so I've had to go the other way around. I know it makes it harder. Let's have a look. Purple. And again, we'll do the same. Lift you up a little bit there. And we'll go from there to there, there to there. Let's get our scissors, match the dots. Alright. Cover the dots because I'm too lazy to rub out the pencil marks. And the ink will also cover those. Just makes for an easier life. Alright, little bit of glue. Little bit, she says. Just that it's scrapbook paper, not my normal paper, so I don't want it coming off. All right. Now, we need to make our holes. Find the easiest way to make the holes is, of course, with a hole punch. Now, you can use a hole punch. I've got my hole punch here. There's lots of different circular hole punches. And there's these things that are the stick-on ones, but they don't necessarily match. And I've got numerous circle hole punches, and they don't really match with any of them. What I do have is a Uniquely Creative die set that's tags. I love this set. You've seen me use it before. It's the tags, tops and tails. And it has these little, I don't know, hole reinforcers. Is that what they're called? But it matches that hole punch like it was meant for it. Don't ask me why, it just does. So all I then tend to do, sorry, I've had my bin at that side all week because my table's been so full that I'm still continuously going to that. So what I'd like is something that's going to contrast with that and match in. So if we go to, I think that might be just a tad bit dark, that black. I had, let's have a look. What about that? That would work. Don't want that one, so that's fine. So again, I'm just going to cut this with the die cut machine. Again, if you don't have one, don't stress. There's lots of other ways to achieve this look. All right. Setting it on. Such a little die on there. And yes, I know I should have had them cut out prior, but, you know, forward thinking. You all know me by now. That's not me. I try. I do try. Let's just face it. I like to run by the seat of my pants. Right. Got them. Put you back away. And anyway, it's good for the muscles. All right. So I've got one. Well, they're cute. And I've got two. And I need to put this one away because it's one of those tiny ones that I have a tendency to lose if I don't put it straight back in my little container and hang it up. Right. So they're my two ready to go on this. Yes, and I can still stamp on this and decorate and do all those sorts of bits and pieces later on. What I need to do is work out where I want these to go. So what I tend to do is I'll cut these first. I'll sit them so that they're sitting about centre. I'll get my pencil and I'll go around that centre bit. Sit that one back in there so that I can see the two together. Sorry. Okay, so there's one. Right. My other one needs to be about there. Down a little bit so that I've got a little bit of that there. That looks about right. Just draw my circle around that. And then I'll just use my trusty hole punch. Now this is just a cheapie from a dollar shop. I've got lots of others, lots of brands. But this tends to be the one that I keep going for. So one in there, one in there. And then with my tweezers in my hand, I will put my tweezers on the end of these so that I can glue them with the tweezers. Does that make sense? And then I can just pop them straight over. Like so. So same with the other one. So even this glue's running tonight. And last time I think I had to actually lay it down on the side because it was getting low. Same glue. It's just the weather. It's just the weather. Right. So when we pop this on, what I like to do is glue it in. So we need to make sure it's sitting straight and that they want to fold and that it is more or less centered in here. Okay? So this is about where I'm looking at. I'm going to lift off one side. Like so. I'm hanging onto this side, making sure it's nice and straight. And all I'm going to do, if I lift that up further, you'll see. Can you see what I'm doing? I'm gluing the top of that folded line for the belly band, which will make that belly band nice and strong, nice and tight, so that when your ribbon's off, it's still not going to go anywhere. Down. Okay, make sure you've got none oozing out, like so that this flap will still do what it wants, but the belly band part is not moving. So now we'll do the other side. Make sure it's still sitting nice and straight. Oh, that's oozing everywhere tonight. All right, wipe that. Do exactly the same on this side. Can you see what I'm doing if I hold it like that? Does that make it easier? So all I'm doing is putting fair whack on there. Fair whack mainly because my glue is oozing everywhere. All right, turning that over, getting my cloth to make sure it's not squeezing out the sides. I'm on 51 minutes. Okay. How's that? And then I turned it round anyway, didn't I? Because that was my flourish that I was going to have down the bottom. It's always so much better with non-directional paper. Just saying. Just saying. Right, so my other pieces that I cut. See, I've got my box of ribbon here as well to tie it, but it's in the way. All right, what I wanted for this side, for this inside piece, was one of these beautiful labelled ones. So here's one that were on one of these sheets as well. So I'm just going to trim that bit down. And of course I've put the ribbons on the trimmer, because now we're getting frantic because we're trying to rush, and now we're having hot flush, which makes it even better. Oh, awesome. And I didn't bring a drink. I don't need to do the bottom because I'm going to put a pocket in that. So, back with the glue stick. Put the lid on that. All right, the lid on that. Like so. Right, so there's Bertha. It's 9 o'clock. 10 o'clock. All right, we'll get one page done. What do you reckon? And I'll put the ribbon in to take the photo. How's that? Right. Going up the right way. Giving it a push. Like so. Just going to move those ones before I glue them as well. And I want, and I know this is lovely all the way through, but I actually want a pocket on here. So, now see, look at everything you've got, because technically that would make an awesome pocket just across there. Okay, with that frame, flowers and all the rest. But I don't have time to cut those down now, so we won't talk about that. We'll grab one of the ones we've already cut. And here's one I've already cut out. Is there? No, there's not. Let's have a look. Don't want that to go that way, so we might have to. All right. All right, quick. So if I cut that to just above the flowers, I can take some of those words, because I'm going to put a thumb notch in there, and it'll need to be trimmed down a bit. So I'm going to need to take 1/8 of an inch. See, I told you I work in all sorts of measurements, just whatever works best for me at the time. don't want you the same. I want you a little bit smaller. And I'm going to take the bottom piece off that off. I'm going to just trim you down a little bit more. What's 1/8 of an inch? A 1/16. Now, yeah, like so. Right. So now, get rid of my scrap. Find my bin. Don't need that. Using my grid, find my centre point, work out where the centre is, hoping that it'll go over that little bit of wording that's still there. Using my oval. Look at that. There's a centre. No more wording. Awesome. Now, with these pages, you can decorate them any way you like. Pockets just nice and easy. And I'm using up the scrapbook paper that I had floating around. So again, we'll use this one just on our 3 edges. You can see I'm rushing. I'm nowhere near the edge. All right, up here. Done. Put the lid on. Turning that way again. And I want to give myself a little bit of a gap, a little bit of a border all the way around. And when I put them in, I will squeeze these edges, these 2 edges, towards each other, which just gives me a little bit of a flap in here, which makes it easier to tuck things in. All right, how's that? So we've got this, and we can find the real one, you know what I mean. So we've got our ribbon on this one, so that way we can see it. Okay. Now, when I do this one up, because this one's further away and I want it to go this way, whereas normally if you do it, your bow's going to go the other way, I will tie my first knot, okay, in the centre, like that, and then I'll take one under the 2 of them and one under those ones, so that I'm back with them coming out this way. I always have to turn them upside down to tie my bows, so that then they come out with their tails hanging the right way down. And I have rabbit ears. And then it's just a matter of manipulating it. Okay. So same thing will happen with that, but we're closer together. It'll have a bow on there, and if you undo the bow, you'll see a pretty picture in there. You'll turn it over. You've got a belly band in there. You've got a pocket in there. And then through the magic of TV, you turn it over and you've got a pocket down there as well. I hope you've enjoyed this one. I love making this. And yeah, it was a manila folder, which we really didn't have to do much to the manila folder. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, guys. If you did, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, please. Love you all for subscribing already. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Till next time. Bye.